Got Your Back Podstream is brought to you by Kinprint. For all your company's promotional needs, they do it all. Apparel, promotional products using the highest quality brands. They do logo design, signage, and printing. Kinprint will promote your brand with excellence. Visit kinprint.ca. Happy Monday night to you, everybody. Let's do a podcast, shall we? Welcome to Got Your Back. Rob Brown and Jason Strudwick standing by on this Monday night. We're going to do some math. We're going to talk some numbers. Willie Nylander's deal has Oiler Nation buzzing. What does Draisaitl look like? What does McDavid look like? What does it all mean? Let's talk about it. Got Your Back brought to you, as always, by Sherwood Buick GMC. Come check out their massive, beautiful showroom. They are the number one GMC volume dealership in all of Canada, 5 years running, and it's easy to see why. They got a great sales process. They make things nice and easy for you and streamlined. Great sales staff. They're friendly. They respect your time. Don't leave you waiting around. Oh, by the way, they got great vehicles too. New and used stock. The lot, always full. So they can get you what you're looking for. Mention Got Your Back sent you. You get 3 free ultimate detail packages and some favorable pricing. Go see Phil and the crew. We're coming to you from our Long Shot studio here in Sherwood Park. Winter Indoor League started today. Yes, little winter golf. They got a great indoor league going over at Long Shots. Visit longshots.ca for more information. I have a bone to pick with my 2 co-hosts. So Struds, Brownie jumps on to the chat before we started, and the other night you guys came up and said hi to me in the press box. You two were together, which I thought, oh, that's good. The guys are bonding. That's good. And then I looked down and you're sitting together and watching the game. And I thought, oh, there was empty seats on both sides of you, but that was okay. Then Brownie jumps on the stream today, Struds, and he's like, yeah, Struds and I had breakfast together, multiple ice times, lunch, spent the whole day together. I'm just wondering if there's a certain point where it's going to be the 3 of us like doing stuff and stuff. I don't need a lot, but just some stuff, Struds.
Well, it wasn't. Don't feel bad. We had 3 people involved. We actually 4 of us, Zuby and Steve. We FaceTimed them in. So the 4 of us had a D's Diner in Devon, a delicious chat. So it was nice. You didn't respond to the text, or did you not get it? Or did we not send it?
Must be the other chat group you guys have, Brownie. Just
Well, it's funny though. I got to spend 3 ice sessions with Struds. I had a nice brunch with him. I'm on a podcast. I feel like I'm in the Jason Strudwick fantasy camp. I mean, it's a small camp. I'm the only one that signed up to it, but I did get to spend a lot of time with him. So it was kind of a thrilling day for me. I learned all of his insights about hockey. That didn't take long, but then we just got to talk about life and solve world problems. So it was, I would call it a productive and a fulfilling day for me.
I don't know. Like, do you guys get sick of each other? Are you guys buddies? Like, you spend days and days and days together, or would one of you get sick of the other? Or like how deep a friendship are we dealing with here? I didn't realize the depths of this friendship before I invited you to be part of my podcast, Brownie.
I think we've driven up. What is it, Grand Prairie? We've done events. We drove the whole way up and back together. Actually, Struds might be one of the easiest people ever to hang out with. I mean, it's very laid back. I mean, you got to curb his drinking, especially when he was the one driving to Grand Prairie. But other than that, it was.
You always feel smart too when you're around him. Hey, Brownie, like it's kind of an elevated feeling of intelligence.
And the best part is, doesn't matter what I throw on, I'm still the better dressed guy. So that's pretty cool too.
Yeah. That was a good day.
It was a real good day. Yeah, Mondays are good for
lunch. Yeah, ice time, and then we go home. It's nice.
Yeah, you had the taco salad today, Strud. You love your taco salad.
Yeah, D never disappoints with the taco salad. I get it every time. Both times we've been.
Okay, so listen, can I convince us to go for a lunch together if the podcast pays? Like, my podcast company, I'll buy you guys lunch if you come for lunch with me at some point.
Pretty busy.
Yeah. What month are we looking in?
Yes.
So much to talk about. Let's check in March because this is
March.
Steve, you wanna we do a FaceTime coffee tomorrow morning, bud?
Yeah,
Steve,
sounds good.
Kelowna?
I'm there for you, buddy.
Thanks, pal.
Yeah.
There you go. Let's get to the breakdown brought to you by Mr. Dirk, the iconic men's clothing store here in Edmonton, founded way back in 1939. Got to check out their beautiful showroom, 102nd Street, just off White Avenue. They've got everything you need, right? Beautiful suits. They can do customs for you. They've got all kinds of different makes and brands, and they'll find something that fits you perfectly. If you got big, broad shoulders like Struds, they got you covered. If you're Brownie, they got you covered. Whatever you need, Mr. Dirk can help you out. All shapes and sizes, high quality casual and dress clothes. Check out their stock at MrDirk.com. Okay, guys, William Nylander gets his extension done today. Hefty $11.5 million. I know it's an Oiler podcast, and we're going to get to a discussion and how this relates to the Oilers. But let's just start with that. Struds, you've been very vocal about your love for the Leafs for years now. They just got a major piece signed that you're going to be able to cheer for years and years and years. What do you think, buddy?
Well, I really like Willie Nylander. Played with his dad. I know Willie a little bit, so I have a soft spot for him. And he earned the contract. Let's be clear. He wasn't given it. He didn't barter. He earned it, and he got the number that he felt was right, and the Leafs were okay with that. The problem for the Leafs now is they've got going into next year 4 players between 11 million and 13 million, and that's a ton of cash tied up for a team that, at least from here, I don't see with a lot of good young D-men that they can figure out. They've got the goalie, sounds like Joe Wall, and then they kind of got to figure out maybe their bottom 6. But Brownie, it is going to be. I think next year is going to be very difficult to manage until Tavares' contract drops from 11. I'd guess it go down to 4 or 5.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know how. Obviously, they've got someone that crunches numbers. That's his only job with the Leafs, and they figure they can make it work next year. I agree. I think Nylander is worth that. I think he's an excellent hockey player. I really enjoy watching him play. Most nights when I watch the Leafs, he stands out more than any other player. But I think it's 46 million tied up in 4 players. So half of their next year's salary is going to be tied up in 4 players. And they signed another piece that was already their strength. Their strength is their top 4 players. Where they need help is on the back end and in net. I mean, they're on a 3rd string goalie. The Samsonov's down in the minors, having the same problem that Campbell is having. So, NHL hockey is better when all the Canadian teams are good. And I know that the other fans don't like to hear it, but it is good when Toronto is good as well in the National Hockey League. Nylander will help them, but they certainly need to find a way to make themselves better on the back end. There are just too many good teams that they have to go through, and they've seen that the last number of years in the playoffs. So good for Nylander. I'm not sure how the Leafs are going to dance around the salary cap issues next year, though.
Got to respect a guy who bets on himself, and he did, right? There was money on the table, big money on the table, bet on himself, and then came out of the gates, 17 straight points? He's got points in all but 4 games this season, earned himself, Struddy, probably another 15 million or more just by doing what he did to start the year this year. I mean, you think about where the numbers were, right? An 8-year deal at 9.5, give or take. Yeah. Well, that's 16 million he potentially added to that thing when you think about what they were negotiating at before. Got to respect the guy that bets on himself like that.
Yeah, I got to wonder maybe the term too, right? When they see that he's doing that, do they say, okay, we'll go from whatever 4 to 6 to 8, whatever it is. But he's a really good player. There's no doubt about it. He's very calm. I don't feel like he's really a high maintenance player. It feels like they can kind of play with anyone. Marner and Matthews are together often, and no disrespect to Tavares, but he at this stage isn't either one of those guys. So he just kind of plays where he's wanted or where they need him. But I look at that team, Schauger, and that D is not good enough to win the Stanley Cup.
And that's the big question, guys. When you pay your top end the way they are, what does it mean for your chances to win? So, good discussion on the Leafs, but we're going to frame this now through an Oiler lens. Let's start with the discussion of 11.5 for Nylander and how we think what this could mean for Leon Draisaitl, or where we think Leon Draisaitl's number will come in. I want to talk about that, and then I want to talk about McDavid's potential number, and then I want to have a discussion about what an Oiler team with McDavid and Draisaitl could look like with them at the numbers that we discuss. So let's take care of point A and point B. Leon Draisaitl's negotiation is up first, Brownie. 11.5 for Nylander. What's your sense? What do you think? What would you guess at a contract for Leon Draisaitl?
Well, isn't Matthews at 13? I think he's just over 13.2. I think Leon starts. Leon starts at
13.25.
Yeah, it starts at Matthews' number. Over the last 5 years, Leon has been the second best player in the world. He's got 3 50-goal seasons. He's got a scoring title. He's got an MVP. He's the second highest scoring player in the last 5 years. So it starts at third. I'm $14 million a year is what I'm guessing is what he's going to get at minimum. He's not. I just can't see him taking less than Matthews, and I can't see him signing a team-friendly deal because his deal has been very friendly to the team for the last number of years. So this will be his payday. And if he goes on the open market, it's worth way more on the open market than what the Oilers will pay him. So to me, it's $14 million a year, somewhere around there.
So you got him at 14. Struds, what's your comfort level putting him around there? What do you think?
Well, I think that's where it starts. I think that's, you've got to put it in there. I just don't know how else you go. Now, I wonder if it changes it because of the term. Now, if he doesn't go 8 years, is it different than if it's 4 years or if it's 5 years or whatever? Or did Connor Leon set it up so that they come out the same year? I don't know about what they're thinking, but that he's better than Pasternak and Nylander, and that's the 11.5 or whatever it is, and they get to that level of where he's at. He being Matthews. So I think you're starting at 13. And then you figure it after that. And there's no hometown discounts. People thinking there's hometown discounts. I don't think who's the last guy that took a hometown discount? Yeah. Mark Giordano. He's 50 years old. So I just don't see it happening. And you can talk about what Tampa takes hometown discounts. They don't, because the taxes they pay or don't pay are reflected in how much they take home.
Okay, so let's say we've got Leon Draisaitl in there at roughly $14 million. Now let's talk about Connor McDavid. He's got the extra year here before the negotiation has to start. But if Leon Draisaitl is at $14 million, what's the ballpark, Brownie, for Connor McDavid?
I think you're talking 18, and then you're tickling 20, somewhere in there. Come on. Don't you think?
Serious?
Well, he's going to be. I mean, if Leon gets 14. All of a sudden, Connor's up, and the cap is moving up. By the time Connor signs, it's going to go up significant. I think he's around $18 million.
For the purposes of this conversation, let's say, so the cap's going to what, 87.6 next year.
Yeah.
So then the first year of Draisaitl's deal, let's say it's what, 91?
I think I just read in the paper today. I read in the paper today. I thought it said 92.
Okay, so then for McDavid's first year, let's put it at 95 million. Let's just do that roughly, give or take. So, if you were to put McDavid at 18 million, percentage of the cap on 95 million would be almost 19%. That would be unheard of. Like, that would be massive numbers.
I think his last contract, he was 16% of the cap.
When he signed it, he was 16. When the puck dropped, he was 15. Hang on a sec. I got it here somewhere. I'll find it. When he signed it.
What's the max? Isn't the max around 17, 18%? Or is it more than that? We should know that. Is it someone on the stream will help us? But 18, I think 18's coming in a little bit hot. I'm not sure if I'll do this process at that. Struds, what do you think? Like, what's your... I think that's, if they sign for those to that, it's too much.
Yeah, they're screwed if he signs for that much, for sure.
Yeah, I honestly think this is what I think. I think there's going to be some chat between the two guys, and I think Connor come out at 15 million.
Interesting,
I think, or less. I do think so, but I wonder about the term. Does he go LeBron? Right? Does he go a little bit LeBron and kind of go shorter contracts, like 2 years, 3 years? Do they both do that? Because let's just say Connor decides to sign for 8 years with the Oilers at whatever the number is. Well, he's kind of locked into it. The flexibility that's offered by a short-term contract, I wonder if that doesn't make sense.
And maybe keeps the AAV down a little bit.
Yeah, but you start doing that. LeBron's different. LeBron's worth $1 billion. You start going to 2-year contract at $25 million as opposed to an 8-year contract, even at $15 million. What's that, $120 million? You're going to leave $100 million out there betting on yourself in a sport that's as violent as hockey?
Yeah.
That's
but
a
I mean,
gutsy
Matthews
call.
did it, right? Matthews took the shorter deal, sets himself up for a couple of prime years to leverage his next contract.
That's
And
gutsy.
that's the thought process, right? Well, Austin Matthews did it. And
Yep.
the thought process is if he still hasn't won, now you can take your ball and go somewhere else. And you've got a couple prime years left, prime earning years left. So I don't know. Let's saw it off just to move the conversation along. Let's put McDavid at 16 and let's put Draisaitl at 14. Let's just start there for the conversation with a cap that year of, we'll say 94, 95 million. So other players that will still be on the books that year, Hyman at 5.5, Nugent Hopkins at 5.125, Darnell Nurse at 9.25. Guys, what's Evan Bouchard's number going to be? What are we giving him? 7.58?
I say it starts with an 8. If he's in the top 3 for defenseman, he scores 20 goals. Whether a fan likes it or not, he's going to be asking for about $8 million a year.
So $8 million bucks, we can kind of figure that'll be the range. Okay, let's lock all that in. Now, let's forget about those numbers for a minute, guys, and let's talk about all the rest of the players that are going to be around them on the roster. So what you're going to need is you're going to need 2 other top 6 forwards besides McDavid, Hyman, Nugent Hopkins, and Draisaitl. So let's assign a value. What's a decent value for a top 6 forward? $3.5 million? Does that get you an okay forward in 2 years? $4 million? $5 million?
I think you're talking $5 million.
I think you start at 5 as well.
Yeah.
Unless you're homegrown guys.
Yeah, so let's say there's no homegrown guys on entry level. Like who's coming in the system that's going to be a top 6 forward in a couple of years, still on entry level. Holloway will even be on another deal, right?
But at least Holloway wouldn't be at $5 million. But
right. Let's say, let's punch Holloway in then on his second deal at what, 3 and change, something like that.
3 and change. That seemed to be the Yamamoto Puljujarvi.
Sure, we'll go 3.25 for Holloway, adjusting for inflation and such. Then you go over to the other side. Okay, need a legit top 6 winger, so we'll go $5 million over there. What do you spend on your third line center, guys? If you want to be an okay Stanley Cup contending team, and you don't have one growing internally, which they don't.
3.
Well, you don't think that's Ryan McLeod?
If it's Ryan McLeod, it'll probably be $3 million.
So on his next deal, then.
Yeah, I think 3.5 probably.
Okay, we'll go 3.5 for McLeod. Well, you can call it McLeod if you want on his next deal.
Sure.
Okay. What about a left and right winger on your third line?
Okay, but before Kane's contract will be done by this time?
Kane's contract is done.
Is done. Okay. Then the other 2 wingers will be between 2 and 3.
Okay, so we'll go 2.5 and 2. Should we be conservative and say 2?
Because looking right now, that's what they signed Fogle for. What's he? $2.5 million.
Yeah, but that's before. That was before the cap just went up $10 million.
So I mean, it might be, but that's what you're looking at, a player like Fogle, more or less. So if Fogle's around, it's $3 million minimum for a third line player because he's going to get a raise.
Okay, so what are we doing on the? We'll go what? Let's say you figure out a way to get one third line winger at 2.5, your center at 3.5, and your right winger at 3. Does that make sense, Struds?
That's probably
Kind of get with that. Yeah, okay, so. Fourth line players. What will the league minimum be? I'm not even sure what the answer
probably
is.
Probably about $1 million.
So maybe one guy on a league minimum deal and 2 guys at $1.25.
Sure.
Is that reasonable?
As short as you can. Yeah, it's small.
Right? So 2 guys at $1.25, another guy at 1. Let's say they go with a 21-man roster. So let's say there's no extra forward. Let's just do that. Nurse Bouchard. Okay, let's talk about a second pairing, guys. What do you got to spend on your second pairing?
$9 million
total.
Probably, yeah.
So 2 guys at
4.5.
Say one guy at 3.5 and one guy at 4.5, give or take. Mm-hmm. Right, something like that. Yep. We think that's an okay second pairing in the league then. And then your third pairing, hopefully you've got somebody under 2 million, so 1.5, give or take, Struds, you think?
You got to have someone at minimum, I'd say, or damn close to it.
So 1 and 1.5.
I think
that's not going to get you a very good barrel here.
I'd say maybe 2.5 and 1 or 2 and 1 or something like that.
Like what's Kulak making right now is a
2.5
pairing
or 2 3/4.
So I mean, you're not going to have a third pairing group at anything less than $4 million.
So 2 and 2. You think?
Well, you think right now their third pairing is at 2.5, and
But they'll be off the books. They don't need a $2.5 million third pairing guy.
But think about it. This is what they have now, and they want to be a Stanley Cup team, so you're going to want to improve on your third pairing.
Okay. Well, guys, I mean, you can't spend everywhere, Brownie. You're spending a lot on a couple of guys. So now, Struds, where are we going to go here? What's the
I think
number?
the problem is that we're not anticipating any young players playing on cheap deals. And I think that's doing a disservice to this process.
Okay, so let's mix them in.
Well, there's got to be someone on an entry level contract, right? They're going to have nobody.
Let's throw a third pairing D-man on $1 million deal. Let's just say that, okay?
I think there's got to be somebody. I mean, they have a minor league team.
Do we have anyone in the minors that's going to be capable?
Do you want to put another forward on $1 million deal too, Strud? Save another $250,000 up front?
I think you just have. I mean, you have. It's not that I want to. I just don't think you have a choice.
No, we want to create a reasonable simulation.
But what you're going to see in a second, though, Shoggy, is you're going to add all this up, and then we're going to see where we have to start cutting, I'm guessing.
Oh, 100% that's what's about to happen. Okay, let's talk about Struddy, are you comfortable with that? And then your extra guy, your extra D-man at $1 million, right? So you got your extra guy, third pairing guy at $1 million, your other third pairing guy at $1.5 million, 3.5 and 4.5 on your second pairing. Net minding. Okay, Jack Campbell's buyout, if that's the way they go, will be 2.6 that year on the cap. So a backup for what? What number do you want to put in for the backup along with Campbell's buyout?
What does a backup get nowadays in the NHL?
$1.5 million?
$2 million?
$3.75?
Yeah.
And then you want to do, Struds?
Yeah, I'd say you probably have to be $2 million, right? Like
$2 million. Okay.
Well, remember the cap's jumping up a lot in the next few years.
Well, where will Rodrigue be at that point? I wonder where he'll be on his second deal, right?
I would imagine, and that's who they want as their backup or their hope. Anyways.
Sure. So we give him a couple $1 million. Congratulations, Evan Rodrigue. You just got $2 million on this spreadsheet. Way to go. Stuart Skinner. Let's say he plays well. Let's say he's the starting netminder on this team. They need a new deal for Stuart Skinner by the time McDavid is up. I believe they're up at the same time. So where's Stuart Skinner's contract going? $5 million?
Isn't that what a starting goalie would be? I mean, at that point, who knows? Maybe he's a Stanley Cup winning goaltender. Yeah. And all of a sudden, $5 million is a good deal for him. For a team, anyways.
To be the going rate. Seems to be the going rate.
Yeah. Okay, $5 million. So Stu Skinner, he just got $5 million as the starter. So let's recap where we're at, guys. McDavid at 16, Draisaitl at 14, Nugent Hopkins at 5.125, Hyman at 5.5. You've added a second line right winger at $5 million, a second line left winger at $3.25 million. Your third line, you've spent 2.5, 3.5, and 3. Pretty good third line. I think you'd be able to get for that. Your fourth line, you've gone 1, 1.25, and 1. You're not taking an extra forward because you got to be tight to the cap. Nurse, 9.25 is what it is. Bouchard, congratulations, $8 million. They might be lucky to get him at that, the way he's piling up the points. Your second pairing is 3.5 and 4.5. Your third pairing is 1 and 1.5. And your extra is $1 million on the cap. Stuart Skinner now makes $5 million. And between Jack Campbell's buyout and your backup, that's another 4.6, meaning you're spending 9.6 on the goalies. If all of this happens and the cap goes to $95 million, Brownie, you're $4.5 million over the cap.
Well, alrighty then. Okay, I'm sorry. We're gonna have to cut. We're gonna have to cut some. We might have to play with just 2 players on our second line.
Well, so this is what's happening though. This is the reality for the Oilers. They've moved a lot of picks out to do different things, and because of that, now they're struggling. They have to give away first rounders, and they won't have first rounders of guys that you think can jump in and play. So
those are the entry level deals you were fighting for, Strud. Yeah. They're gone.
I know. I mean, that first rounder's gone. The last 2 first rounders are gone. I'm guessing this first rounder will be gone. And then maybe the next first rounder will be gone. So those are guys that have a good chance or a better chance than anyone else of making the NHL. So now you're second down to 7th rounders. They're going to have to go into the college, wade into the college market and tell people you are going to play here on this line. And they got to be cheap. Like they've got to be creative. Because it's you're not taking it out of probably your top six. It's going to be that third line that's going to get swallowed down.
Okay, so let's pare that third line down. Let's say you figure out a way to get that third line center done for $2.5 million. Let's just say somehow, and the winger over on the other side. Let's say, Raphael Lavoie develops into a top 9 forward, and he's your right winger, and he's at $2.2 million for that next contract. And let's say over on the left side, hey, you figured something out, and you got $1.75 million. So now your third line is 1.75, 2.5, 2.2. Okay, not sure what that third line looks like quality-wise. You're still $2 million over the cap.
Well, what are you running into? The same problems that the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to have.
Well, this is the thing, right?
Yeah.
This is the reality for a couple years down the road. So let's look at that second pairing on defense. We've got it at 3.5 and 4.5 right now. Can we pair that back, guys? Is there a way to go 2.5 million and 3.75 million for your second pairing? How does that look, do you think?
See, Sugar, you can do all of these things, but then you're not as good.
Right.
That's the problem is you're taking away. So you're getting, okay, this is a second pairing that we can count on for 18 to 20 minutes a night. Well, okay, now it's not near as good. I mean, one of the problems is you're going to have over $17 million tied up in 2 defensemen. That's a big hit as well. Mm-hmm. And Bouchard, it's going to be $8 million. I mean, the way his numbers are going, it's going to be a big number. So and then you're going to have to make a decision what you're going to do.
And this simulation is based on McDavid agreeing to 16 and Draisaitl agreeing to 14, which, I mean, we had that discussion, right? Let's say that's where it goes. And the cap getting to 95 that year. I don't know, Struds. What do you think, man?
That's tight. It's really tight.
Boy.
The Campbell contract continues to give, right? That's the hard part. And maybe go with $1 million backup, right? You just find a way to just squeeze someone in there. That's just Calvin Pickard at $1 million.
The problem when you start doing things like that, all of a sudden an injury, you're in trouble. Big trouble.
No, it's true. So it's, and no one wants to hear it right now when everyone's focused on winning the Stanley Cup, but the people that are behind the drafting and developing for the Oilers should be the highest paid people, and they need to get these people going and finding a way for
They're not, by the way. They're not.
No.
Nowhere in hockey are they?
No, I know, but they're going to be in 2 years. You're going to be like, okay, we need 3 players that can play for $1 million on entry-level contracts. Yeah. Where are they? Right? Where I mean, now there might be a couple coming in, and that might be fair. But it's going to be tight. It's going to be tough. And those are the conversations they have with Connor and Leon. Although I'm sure they had the same on with Nylander. Didn't change his feelings.
Maybe we were a little rich on the second line right winger. Maybe they don't need to give somebody $5 million over there. They'll have, assuming Holloway's decent, they'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. They'll have 5 pretty decent tops. So maybe we can cut that one back to $3 million. Could spend a little bit more now, guys. Maybe a little bit more on a $3 million second pairing defenseman and a $4 million second pairing defense. Oh, you got $1 million left, which is roughly where you want to go. So the exercise is just to illustrate when you give those guys as much as they're potentially going to be worth, and you add Nurse and Bouchard together. Like in that scenario, their top 6 guys are $57.8 million.
Yeah.
That's 6 guys at $57.8 million.
That's going to be over 50% of their roster cap space will be on those players.
60.92. If the cap is 95, that's 60.92% on 6 players. Is that right?
Yeah, they're going to have to figure it out. They're going to have to figure out a way to make this work, right? It's going to be tight. It's going to be super tight, but every team's going to go through this. When you have good players, you have to pay them. With Connor and Leon, you'll do just like the Leafs, just figure out the number and you'll pay them. That's just the way it is. You're not going to say, oh, that's $1 million too much. We're going to let you walk. No, you get them and you bring them back. Then you have to be creative. And I go back to it. The way to be creative is find good young players that are cheap. And that's hard to do. But that's the job. That's what they need to do.
Here's a question for you. Okay, so this summer they're going to push hard to try and sign Leon, obviously. What if he's like Nylander and he goes into the season without signing, betting on himself? Now you get a little bit later. Do you go into the playoffs with an unsigned Leon Draisaitl
Well, I mean,
when
if
he's
you,
unrestricted at the end of the year, or he gives you your better chance of winning a Stanley Cup? Do you keep him knowing that you could have got a lot for him, but you're a better team? I know this is just guessing this, but this is about 1 year away. If he's not signed, you got to make that decision.
JL on the stream says someone needs to check Rishaug math first. JL, that is completely fair. But even if I'm 2 to 3 million off, it's still not a great picture. Somebody else asked if we could display the spreadsheet. No, we can't do that. I know it's a little bit hard to follow, but
it's really hard to see crayon on the TV.
Others are suggesting that Bouchard at 8 million is a pipe dream, guys. We're getting some of that here on the stream as well.
It's higher than that.
Yeah.
No, I think they're probably saying he's not going to get anywhere close to that, as I'm guessing with pipe dream.
No. They're saying
they think he's going to
get
be
him
more?
at 8 million. Yeah.
Ooh,
Well, McCarr's 9 million.
Mm-hmm.
no comparison.
But they're signing at different times.
And
this is
there's no
unrestricted
comparison
years
between
for
McCarr and Bouchard.
Yeah,
all the respect in the world for Bouchard, but
but they're
McCarr
doing their
and Quinn
deals at
Hughes.
different times in their career,
Yes,
Brownie.
true.
Like totally
I know.
different times.
Yeah, true. But Quinn Hughes and McCarr are the two best defensemen in the world right now, in my opinion.
All right, fun exercise. I think my head kind of hurts, but it's going to be an interesting thing watching the math over the next couple of years for the Oilers. And this Nylander thing, I think, really has Oiler Nation thinking a lot about the Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid situation. That was a breakdown brought to you by Mr. Dirk. We'll remind you that Rob Brown's appearances are brought to you by Kinprint, high-quality apparel, promotional products to take your brand to the next level. Visit kinprint.ca. Takeaways is up next. Short break. Stick around. Say goodbye to unruly hair and hello to a smooth and silky back in minutes with Backscape. Shave your back solo with no mess with Backscape's water-resistant long handle and patented 6-blade design, leaving you with a no-mess shaving experience all in less than 5 minutes. Shop now for 40% off select kits just for you, our Got Your Back listeners. Use promo code GYBPOD on checkouts and make 2024 your year to elevate your grooming routine. The Edmonton Sport and Social Club's spring season is set to go in May, and registration is just around the corner. Team up with your pals to play in slow pitch, beach volleyball, outdoor soccer, ultimate frisbee, and even cornhole leagues to keep the spring months full of excitement. Spring leagues begin in May. Registration opens on February 8th. Visit EdmontonSportsClub.com for more details.
Winter is upon us, so why not make the best of it? Marmot Basin Ski Resort is where it's at. Ski half price every day, no blackout periods. Pick up your escape card for $99 and make winter fun more affordable. Half the price, all the powder. Get yours at www.skimarmot.com.
We're really happy to have UCAN Youth Services as part of the podcast, but I owe Kyle lunch because it's 2 podcasts in a row now. I've forgotten where they go in the show. They're supposed to be at the end of the first segment, and they've been bumped in the last 2. So my apologies. We'll do our Relentless player at the end of this segment. So, Struddy, you can get your mind to work on that. Who is going to win that award for the day? But for now, let's get to takeaways brought to you by Redefined Health, where they specialize in total mind and body wellness, from chiro and massage care treatments, acupuncture, soft tissue therapy, nutrition, even an on-site registered psychologist. Redefined Health is there to help you get well and stay healthy for a lifetime. Visit redefinedhealth.com. Some news out of Oilerland today. Phil Kemp gets called up to the big club. 26 games played, no goals, 5 assists. And Brownie, you and I were exchanging text messages on this. I think your instinct is right. This is about little bit of insurance on the roster during a road trip.
Well, they're going for 3 in a row on the road. If there's time, if there's an injury and there's time, they would bring Broberg up to play. But sometimes a guy gets sick in the middle of the day, he can't play. You want to have an extra defenseman available. So they want to have him there. The reason you bring him, Gleason was up sitting in the stands for a long period of time. Let him play some. get some ice time down on the minors, keep Kemp up here to eat popcorn, make a little extra money. But if there's any long-term injury, anyone's out with extended time, that's when Broberg comes up. But Kemp will just be up here to sit in the press box.
Struds, there's something to be said for he's played well down there. They're happy with him. There aren't going to be games, but there's something to be said for letting a guy pull an NHL check for a week here and there when he's been a good, solid soldier for you, hey?
Yeah, there is. But, I wonder if Kemp maybe doesn't have a chance here. There's a lot of talk about his defensive abilities. He gets up here, gets to practice with the team. Not that they're practicing a lot, but practice with them, watch the NHL speed. Unlikely, he wouldn't get in there unless there's an injury or a sickness, as Brownie said. But I just think that I can't stress enough. It's one thing to watch the NHL. It's now to be on the ice with these guys and practice with them and see it. It's just a whole different experience. So I like this, just to give him a little bit of taste, to get the beak wet.
Sounds like the plan for Dylan Holloway will be to play center. Now, Baco had their games postponed this weekend because of a water leak. So neither of those games ended up getting played, but it sounds like Dylan Holloway, the plan there is for him to play a little bit of center while he is down there. Now, this speaks to Ryan McLeod being at left wing on the second line right now, and the Oilers scratching their head wondering what they're going to do with that third center position. Here's the question I ask you, though. Brownie, I'll start this with you. You got to take that? Was that your phone? You got to take that,
Me?
bud?
No.
That was your phone ringing? No?
I don't think so.
Okay. I heard something, and then you twitched. Is it fair to throw Dylan Holloway at center anytime soon in the NHL?
I don't see a problem with it. What I think will happen is McLeod will go to third line center, Kane will go back up on the second line, and Holloway will get a shot at center on the fourth line. That's what I think will happen. I don't think McLeod's the long-term solution. Third on second line left wing, they will eventually get Evander Kane back there.
So you think that they would play Dylan Holloway at 4C before they play him at 3 left wing?
Well, if they're trying him out at center,
yeah.
So that would be the option. I don't see him coming up being third line center. I think that's too important a role. You're not going to put him on a face-off in his own zone. You prefer to have Leon and Connor start their lines in the offensive zone. So I just think McLeod, it's been a great run for McLeod, but long-term, I think Kane, when he's playing what he's capable of doing, is a better solution on the second line than Ryan McLeod. That's just my thought, because I don't think Dylan Holloway is your third line solution, centerman, if you want to be a championship team. I mean, he doesn't play center, and he's going to be going up. We start looking around the Vegas, you look at LA, he can't play third line center against their third line centers. So to me, McLeod will move back. Dylan Holloway maybe gets a look on fourth line, less pressure, gets put in certain situations, and Evander Kane eventually be back up on the second line.
Yeah, I like this idea of Holloway going third line center as much as I like Darnell Nurse playing left wing and Taylor Hall playing center. Like, those are all really good options as well. While we're at it, maybe we can redesign the Oiler logo to look like a flame. To me, you're asking someone to do something that he hasn't done at the professional level. He's not an NHL player yet. This isn't asking a guy who's played 500 games in the NHL to take some draws and go play center for a while. This is the guy still trying to establish himself as an NHL player. Like, hey, you know what? Man, we need a third line center. Let's just slide you at center. It's not happening. So I'm with Brownie. You put Kane is a natural guy. He goes back up to the second line. He's got to find I think he's got to get feet moving, skate a little bit more, get more inside the paint. And then he got McLeod at the second line center. I think now, do you move Fogel back? Probably not. Maybe Fogel stays up there. That's the challenge. So who gets propped up there beside McLeod? Is it Holloway? Maybe. Is it Connor Brown? Janmark? I've said it many times. If Holloway and Connor Brown can get themselves going, that solves a lot of problems for the others that they don't have to figure out. But I just, the idea of putting, I love ideas, but some ideas are just not going to be bear any fruit, as they say.
It's not that he hasn't played any center, like some junior and some college. Like he's familiar with how to play center. But Struds, right. You hit it. You said at the NHL level. It's a whole different kettle of fish. And Brownie, respectfully, the reason that they sent him down because they didn't want to bring him back into the lineup and play him only 6 or 7 minutes. Mm-hmm. Well, that's about where the fourth line center comes in on a team with Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid playing a lot, right? Like that fourth line doesn't play
Yeah,
I think Dylan Holloway needs to play a bunch when he gets back here.
I'm on your side. I think he's a top 6 player. You said, is he going to play center? Well, he ain't playing center in your top 9. So that's where if you think he's going to get some reps, it'll be on the 4th line. He's not playing center on the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. I don't believe.
You're going to play Derek Ryan at center ahead of him and have Holloway as a 4th center? You think they would do that?
I said McLeod's my 3rd line center.
Oh, yeah, right.
So I got McLeod.
back
so
in the
he's not playing ahead of those, and exactly on what Strud said. He doesn't play at this level. It's different. You know what? Every forward in the NHL at some point has played center in his career. In minor hockey, junior hockey, college hockey, they all played center. So Holloway's just one of those guys. To me, Holloway is a top 6 line player. If I had him with Kane, Draisaitl, and Holloway, I like that line. I really do. Then you can put Fogle back on the 3rd line with McLeod.
Who's playing right?
Whoever. Well, then you make, I don't know.
Now you're asking Evander Kane to play his right side.
Well, yeah. Hey, playing opposite side is easy. It's easy. I played my whole career on the opposite side. It's way better as an offensive player being on your offside as a winger. So go around the National Hockey League. Every team's got 2 or 3 guys doing it. There's not an issue. So Kane, if you tell Kane, hey, you can be on the 3rd line playing on the left side, or maybe if you want to switch on to the right side and play with Leon, I'm pretty sure he would jump at the chance. So
I know he always thinks offense, Struds, and while it might be nice offensively, it's a hell of a lot harder to get the puck out on the boards on your off wing.
I like the
That's
idea.
the defensive zone, Brownie.
No, it's not that hard. You just turn your body differently. These guys are the best in the world. You trying to tell me a guy can't get the puck out if he's on the opposite side of the ice? Come on.
I now have 2 great ideas tonight. I've heard 1, Holloway 3rd line center, 2, Kane on the offside. We're on fire. What else are we going to do? Jack Campbell, maybe he can be a 3rd line center.
No, because you're not allowed to wear pads out. So that's a silly idea, Struds.
No, I'm just kidding. But I think you got to be careful about changing everyone's position, moving everybody around. I do like I like Fogle with Leon. So. But I also like McLeod and Fogle together on the 3rd line. But
Strides, where is Fogle on his opposite side? Is he playing the opposite side with Leon?
He is.
Okay,
he is.
So he is playing the opposite side.
Some guys can do it, Brownie. Yeah. Some guys can do it. Not all guys.
But let's be reasonable for a second here, gentlemen. Let's go Kane on the left side, Drysdale at center, Fogle on right side. Then you drop down. You got Janmark on the right with McLeod in the middle.
And Holloway.
TBD on the left winger. TBD on the left winger. Because if it can be McLeod or Holloway, that'd be great. But I don't know if he can do it. I don't know. I haven't seen enough of him doing it every night to tell you that he's a 3rd line winger in a conference final against the, I guess, would it be Dallas?
Sure. It's a good point. It'll be interesting to see how the new head coach handles Dylan Holloway when he gets a chance to handle Dylan Holloway. We'll see what his opportunity looks like. All right, time now for our Relentless Player of the Day, brought to you by UCAN Youth Services, a nonprofit charitable organization in Edmonton that is relentless in assisting young people get out of harm's way and transition into employment or back into education. Visit ucan.ca to see how your donation can change lives right here in our community. Got Your Back is a proud monthly donor, and we're proud to have them on board as our charitable partner. And we encourage you to take a look, maybe do the same thing. Let us know if you do. Struds, who gets the Zach Hyman honorary award?
Yeah, it's difficult when you're an offensive forward playing on the Pittsburgh Penguins and you're not scoring. So I'm going to give it to Rickard Rakell. He started off very slow this year, and he has 4 goals total, but 3 in his last 4 games. So double R, or as they call him, Rickard Rakell in Finland. This guy is now heating up and finding himself at the right time. At any time is the right time when you're a goal scorer, isn't it, Brownie?
Oh, I agree. But I mean, if you would have come with me, I watched Struds play 3 games of 3 puck today. He would have been my relentless performer of the day. Shoggy, you should have seen. He was on his game today. He set me up twice in the game championship game today. It was unbelievable the plays he made. Between the legs pass once, another saucer, over 6 steps, landed landed so softly on mine. I had to do nothing but guide it into the net. So I know that Rickard Rakell had a good day. I cannot see him being any better than the relentlessness that I said, or my good friend Jason Strudwick when we were playing against the all-girls team today. He was dominant.
Dominant. Just get open, guys. I'll find you.
All right, that was our Relentless Players of the Day, brought to you by UCAN Youth Services. When we come back, Brownie's going to hang around one more segment because he just can't in good conscience miss is Struddy's World. Stay with us. Long Shots Golf is the destination for both golf enthusiasts and sports fans. Top-of-the-line TrackMan simulators provide a highly entertaining and accurate golf experience, while a full-service sports bar loaded with big screens and scratch kitchen make it a truly unique destination. They have locations in Sherwood Park and Edmonton. Experience the best indoor golf and sports bar in town. Visit longshots.ca. That's longshots with a Z.ca.
Are you ready to elevate your moving experience? Trusted for over 100 years, Ferguson Moving and Storage are your partners in relocation, ensuring your journey is smooth and stress-free. And say goodbye to surprises with Ferguson's transparent flat rate pricing. Contact them now for a free moving quote and use the promo code Ferguson to receive $100 off your next move. Visit fergusonmoving.com and let them lift your expectations. When you make a mistake, heads should roll. It's not right. And I'm here. Someone has to put their foot down. Now that I say it out loud, it does sound a little crazy.
God, I look good. Okie dokie, time for Struddy's World. Brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. With locations in Calgary and Edmonton, if you're a contracting business or a contractor, let DLR help you add vinyl fence to your product line. See why they've been going strong since 2005. Reliable, unmatched service with high-quality North American-made products. Visit DLRvinylproducts.ca and no more sanding, staining, painting. Put it in once. Sit back on the deck with your feet up and enjoy the benefits of going maintenance-free. Brownie, got your popcorn. Struddy?
Well, wait a sec. I'm not sure I'm allowed to eat popcorn. I'm not sure if he hates that too. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have to listen.
That'll be next week, Struddy's World.
My daughter's kind of get into the world of volleyball. So it's a new sport for us. So I haven't really been around it too much. Sure, I played in junior high and dominated, but that's a long time ago. So we're going into a new world. And this past weekend, she was in a bit of a mini tournament. So it might surprise a lot of people. When I go to events like this, I wouldn't say I'm shy, but I just like to sit there and not be noticed. Not that I'm Wayne Gretzky, but I just want to sit there, kind of just watch my child play the sport and not get too involved. Just cheer. So anyways, I get there and then, one of the coaches said, well, we need some help. Someone has to throw the ball in or score keep. So I lie and I say I have a bad hamstring, so I can't throw the ball in. So I'm going to score keep. So I'm standing on the side. She's like, we'll let you know when it's time to score keep. So we're in the middle court at Saville Center. So I'm sitting there. All of a sudden I get the tap from my daughter. She's like, Dad, it's time for you to go score keep. So I walk over there quietly again. I'm trying not to, I just like to be quiet. I don't want to make a big deal. And my daughter doesn't really, at that age, I don't want you to draw a lot of attention to yourself. So I go to the scorekeeping table, middle court, 2 other courts on either side. I sit down and I put my elbows on the table and the table collapses. Just smashes. Everyone in the boat, there's 3 games going. Everyone turns around, looks over. I look at my daughter. She's like, what the hell? I'm like, oh my God. So now I'm panicking. Both coaches come over. They try to lift it up. It is just a gong show. I'm beat red, sweating now. I'm just completely rattled. And it is the exact opposite of what I wanted. The quiet, not being noticed, couldn't handle. So another guy walks over. He's like, I think you need some help. And he sits down beside me. So we get it all fixed up. And I got to tell you, I don't get embarrassed very often, but that was so embarrassing. It's the opposite of it. I don't want to draw attention to myself. I just sat there. Sure, people messaged me a couple Happy New Years and I rejected it, but it is so embarrassing. Now we have another tournament next weekend. I'm nervous to go in there because I'll probably get asked. Actually, I might not get asked again, but guys, that is a major dad fail. And someone didn't lock the table. Someone didn't lock the table up, Shogger.
That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one.
See,
did you put weight on it? Did you lean on your elbows?
Just one of my guns, right? Just one. But it wasn't hooked up. They didn't, it's one of those folding tail. They didn't hook up the leg.
Yeah. The little metal clips that got to go on there. Yeah.
So I don't know who it was. I feel like I was set up. I think someone set me up to fail.
So How do you react when you're embarrassed? Like what did you do? Do you get awkward? Do you start rubbing your nose? Do you get that big galoot of a laugh going for everyone to hear? Like what do you do?
So my buddy was on the court beside me, and he said all I saw was this huge man trying to pick up this table, and everyone is coming to help. Then I look over at the stands where my wife and my dad and my mom were sitting. They were dying. Like people were crying. They were laughing so hard. And I don't want to be noticed. I just want to sit there and keep the score. So I would say I was embarrassed, but I felt bad for my daughter too. Like
Brownie, most embarrassing moments. You got any stories like that, buddy?
Oh God.
I'll let you think about it. I had one in college. Like second day of college, I was sitting in the back. It's all my fellow broadcast students sitting in the back of the class. I was chewing on a pen. Didn't realize the pen exploded. So I had ink all over my face, and I felt it. And I was like, what the hell? And so I looked, and there was ink all over my hands. And then all of a sudden you can tell it's all over your face. So I was like, oh, crap. I was sitting kind of middle of the class. So I got up to go walking out of the class. And I sort of walked up with my head down and my hand in front of my face. And I went to go through the door, and I didn't get the door open. And I smashed my head on the glass of the door. So now, and I stunned myself because I was trying to get out of there fast. So it was like, bang. And I kind of was like stunned. And I turned and looked at the class, and I had ink all over my face, and I had smashed my head. And that was one of my finer moments.
Shocker, I could see that because the strength in that jaw because of that size of the head is probably similar to a pit bull.
Oh yeah, buddy. Oh yeah. That's why I did better in the Reed low scrap than you did. This jaw of mine, it's helped me survive many bad situations. This steel jaw, Brownie.
Nice.
Well, it was funny. I think it was a couple years. I'm not sure Struds was at it, but we were at we worked together at NAX, and we were having a 3-on-3 tournament, and our team got a penalty shot to win the game. And they said, "Oh, let Coach Brownie go. I mean, he scored in the NHL. He's going to win the game for us." So I went in on a 1-on-1, me and the goalie, and I have this move where I go around the world where my stick just does a circle around the puck, and then I just flip it into the top corner. So I do that. I flip in up, hits the goalie in the mask, comes back and hits me in the nose. And I had a stroke a couple years ago, so I'm on blood thinners. My nose started pouring blood out, and it won't stop. I'm going back to the bench. I'm covered in blood. The kids, they think I'm dead. They're afraid to laugh. The other coaches are crying. They're laughing so hard at me. That happened at 8 a.m. My nose stopped bleeding at 10 p.m. that night. It took it that long to clot.
Oh, goodness. Love it. Struddy, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that story. I'm going to text Shona in the break and ask her just how funny it actually was. I'd love to hear from her. That was Struddy's World, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. For comic relief tonight, what we're going to do is we go to break. Steve, you're under strict instructions. Do not actually take us to break until Rob Brown figures out how to get himself off camera. We'll be right back. Go ahead, Brownie.
Well, that's not fair.
Go ahead. What you do? No. You got to have your camera off. No. That's not it, bud. That's not it. Brownie, you can figure this out. You're into your third month on the pod. Okay, it's a little thing there, a little button.
I don't have a little button on mine. Wait.
Oh, no, that's better. Okay. You've flipped the camera. That's the ring light we're looking at now. Jeez. Struds, look at this.
We could be here all night.
I don't. Wait a second. Hold it. Wait. Get a sec. Wait.
This is never going to end.
There, can you still see me?
Yes. Well, we see what appears to be an office.
Oh, no, that's my bar. Hey, you guys come on over. Oh, Struds has been here many times.
All right. That's it. Cut him off, Steve. Go to break. Oh, there he goes.
If you own or operate a business, you know the value of a great employee. Just ask Shogger. Pathfind is here to help you find your next star player to help take your business to the next level. Pathfind can help with recruitment, career transition, leadership coaching. They truly have your whole team covered. Building you a championship caliber roster. Find your team's path forward at pathfind.ca.
Time to talk about your mortgage? It doesn't have to be a daunting conversation. With over 16 years in the industry, Maria Gallus with Maximum Mortgages knows how to make it easy. With access to dozens of different lenders, let Maria customize the perfect solution for you. Whether you're purchasing, refinancing, or renewing, or a first-time buyer, Maria's simplistic approach and expert advice will have you feeling confident you're in great hands, making informed decisions. Take the stress out of your mortgage journey. Contact Maria Gallus at mortgagesbymaria.ca. That's mortgagesbymaria.ca.
Love when we get some new voices hopping onto the pod stream. Northern Farm Girl has joined us tonight. She said, thumbs up, subbed, and thank you for the laughs. Thank you for joining us, Northern Farm Girl, and welcome to the Got Your Back live stream. Time now for to take a lap, brought to you by Backscape, the product that is taking the online world by storm right now. It's absolutely everywhere. We'll see my brother Rick in the shower here in a minute, giving one a go. It's water-resistant, rechargeable shaver coupled with the long handle lets you take care of business on your own. You can shave in any direction, no bumps or cuts. It's easy. It's awesome. Right now, we got a great sale going, 30 to 50% off. Visit backscape.com. That's bakscape.com and choose from a variety of packages delivered right to your door. Backscape, stay smooth, gentlemen. Got a trip to Cabo coming up in a few weeks, Struddy. Might have to... just give the Backscape a little once over before I head out into beach country.
I like it. Clean it up a little bit.
Where are we going, buddy?
Well, it's pretty rare where you see two younger players traded for each other. And we saw a trade between Philadelphia Flyers and Anaheim Ducks. Cutter Gauthier, a star on the USA World Junior team and a 5th overall pick by Philadelphia just a short time ago, was traded for a defenseman, Jamie Drysdale, right shot defenseman. He's got about 100 and some games in the NHL, and a second rounder from Anaheim. And I saw it at first. I'm like, wow, like these are two pretty good young players that are being traded for each other. Maybe it fits a need on either side. And then you kind of dig a little deeper and you find out that Cutter Gauthier, when drafted by the Flyers, said, I'm the kind of guy you want. I'm a Philly, I'm excited to get there and play. And then when they tried to sign him, he didn't want to sign there, and he wasn't really any return calls or anything. So hands were forced. So Danny Briere had to make the move. But I think that it's another nice piece for Anaheim. Obviously, a forward that is a pretty good player. But Drysdale is a young right shot defenseman. They get the second round pick. I think they salvaged something here. Drysdale missed most of last year with an injury. I think it was shoulder injury. But it is one of those rare trades where we might look back, Shogger, and say, this actually was pretty good for everyone involved, including, I guess, Cutter, because he didn't want to go to Philly.
Making the best of a difficult situation. You got a 5th overall pick? I mean, that is a high draft pick, high pedigree, right on the world stage right now. Everybody sees what you're able to do. For whatever reason, is it the Torts effect? What is it? I'm not sure. Decided he didn't want to be there. Now, Drysdale hasn't played a ton of games. He had his first NHL season. He got 24 games in. Then he had the bad injury, ended up only playing 8 games after an 81-game season in 21-22. But the last couple seasons hasn't played a ton. 5 points in 10 games. I like him. He's a good player. The other thing about this, he and Trevor Zegras are really, really tight. This will be crushing for Trevor Zegras. They lived together. They were really good friends, man. Like, these guys were tight and thick as thieves.
Yeah, this happens, right? The first time your buddy gets traded, it's kind of a hard thing to deal with. But it's part of the business and you figure it out. But for Cutter, and it might be the coach related. I'm not sure why he didn't, but Philadelphia is a place I would have loved to play in Philly. Like, it's a gritty town and you kind of feel a bit of gritty. Every time you go play somewhere for a different city, you kind of want to embody or try to embody a little bit of the spirit of the city. And, I feel like Cutter would have fit in pretty well Philadelphia, but move on. If I'm Philly, I'm a little bit nervous. You talk about the injury history with Jamie Drysdale. They've had some injury issues with other demon they've traded for, like Ryan Ellis. And I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here, but you maybe get a little bit nervous when you think about it.
What's next?
Item number 2, the goaltending situation is I think it's at the forefront for many teams. And today, Phoenix Copley went under the knife and got his knee done, repair an ACL. He's out for the year. Now, this happened before Christmas, so it's not old news. But if you're the Kings, who find themselves in 3rd place in the NHL right now, 3rd place in the Pacific Division, and you've got Cam Talbot playing well, a little bit older, you got big save Dave Riddick as your backup. Now, they don't spend a lot of money on their goalies. That's a good thing. But I do think they're another team. I think it'd be prudent for Rob Blake to add another goalie in that mix somewhere, just to have. So now you're looking at Toronto, Oilers, Carolina, New Jersey, Kings. What is that? I just rattle off 5 teams, and there's probably
5 or 6 anyways.
Yeah. So, and I think they're all maybe competing for that second tier guy. Would that be fair? You know, a 1B Schauger?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because Los Angeles, you know, if they didn't have to bang right up against the Edmonton Oilers the last couple of years, who knows, you know, if they could have gone a little bit deeper, but they're right in a window. Like they really are. And now you've got the fact that Quentin Byfield has turned around. He's come in and he's given them, you know, a lot right now. They're even more so in their window. And do you head into a playoff run with goaltending that you're not super thrilled with? Now, Cam Talbot, 2.17, 923. Like the guy he's showing that he's still got it. And that might be enough that they, you know, feel like they can ride Talbot. But yeah, the goaltending situation is definitely really interesting. Good comment here came in on Zegras. I think Zegras is going to need Pathfind. Looks like he's going to be on his way out of Anaheim. People wonder if Zegras would be long for Anaheim anyways. They thought that heading into this season. Never got the big deal, right? So you wonder where his head might be at in that Anaheim situation.
When I watch Trevor Zegras, I think he has to mature as a player and be more complete.
Yep.
And I think he's fun to watch and winning hockey. I don't think that they're not exclusive, but you do have players that are different ways. And I think that for Zegras, that's what I'm looking at for him.
Okay, Steve, pop in, buddy, and get a bunch of comments ready to rock and roll. That was Taking a Lap, brought to you by Backscape. We're going to dive right into Ask Us Anything. I'm going to let you and Struds handle a bunch of this, and we'll go 5 minutes, give or take. It's brought to you by Match Eatery and Public House, your destination for all the sports action, big screens, ice-cold beer, and all your pub favorites perfected. Match Eatery and Public House, located adjacent to Rogers Arena in the Grand Villa Casino. For more info, visit matchpub.com. Steve, let's rock and roll, buddy. What do you got?
Yeah, a lot of conversation about what's going to happen with Draisaitl's contract and other Oilers contracts in the future. Nice to see the stream, people talking to each other. Good conversation there. A few comments on Struddy's world. Obelisk says, Struddy, you should have pulled a Steve Urkel right away and just stood up and said, "Did I do that?" Quaddy said
that would have gotten a laugh, actually. That would have gotten a laugh.
In hindsight. Quaddy said WWE Struddy table suplex. JL said that maybe Pisani rigged the table. That's possible, I suppose.
He would do that.
He owes you one. Actually, he owes you about 5.
And asking about embarrassing moments, some stranger said, first day in high school, I walked into the girls' bathroom. For a second, I thought that one girl that was in there was in the wrong room. That's always a tough one.
Hey, what are you doing in here?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, like I say, lots of comments about the trades. Harry in Australia says, down here in Australia, he hasn't commented on Struddy's accent, but he said the rugby league team players all take friendly deals to win. The Sydney Roosters are a prime example. I mean, there's always a lot of talk about that, right? So, just thoughts on taking a discount to play with a team that you think will win.
Yeah. Are the other guys that are second, third, and fourth liners taking discounts? Right. I think that's where it becomes a bit unfair. That as many in the public believe that the top guys should be the ones taking the cut. Well, why should they take the cut? Mm-hmm. They're the ones who's driving the team.
Don't forget, Struddy. McDavid shaved his back, right? That's the thing. Remember his deal was 13 and a quarter and brought it back $750 a year.
Yeah. So let's say if when you get up to 16 million, what percentage is another million off, right? So let's say he signs 8 years at 16 million. He says, you know what, guys, that's too much. I'll take 8 years at 15 million. So he's 8 million less, right? So his take home is, let's just make it even $4 million. He's not taking home. Can he make that up in other ways? Probably. And I'm sure he is with some of his sponsorship deals. But it would have to come from him. I would just have a hard time approaching him and saying, hey, buddy, you got to take a hometown discount. That's be a very hard sell.
Almost as relevant a question. Like, Struds, what do you think that Leon Draisaitl could get on the open market after next season? Like, if we're trying to crawl into his head and figure out what he wants to do. What is the chance to play with McDavid and potentially win a cup worth? What is the dollar figure? Like, can he, if we nailed him at 14 million, can he get 15.5 somewhere?
Well, I think he'd get the number he probably, if that's what he wanted. I think there is that out there. But if you want to win, what team has that kind of cap space that has the ability to sign that contract?
I don't know. Maybe LA.
You think LA will have that cap space?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what their situation will be, but
I thought when they signed Pierre-Luc Dubois, that was it. The deal was done. I don't think they have space. Vegas doesn't have space. Dallas has paid their guys, and I'm just talking about the teams that are on top now. And I recognize that's cyclical. The Rangers have paid their guys. You know, maybe they. I don't know. I'd have to look at. I'm not that familiar with Carolina. Maybe they'd have a way to make some room there with maybe Burns. Would Burns be coming off at that time? You know, I'd have to look at that. But that's a D-man swap and a D-man for a forward. But I think there'd be appetite. Well, there'd be an appetite for Leon Draisaitl. But if you want to win, I don't know. Like Toronto doesn't have the space. Maybe Montreal. Maybe that's a place, nice city to play in. Maybe they'd have the space.
But if you're Leon Draisaitl, you know what you're thinking? Like wherever you show up, they got a way better chance to win all of a sudden. Those guys know when they roll into town that
I disagree.
Even if you go to a middle of the way team.
Yeah, I disagree. So that's fair if they have a goalie and D, right?
Sure.
So, you know, the team that, could pose a threat to either Connor or Leon would be Chicago Blackhawks.
LCG says if 97 and 29 want to play together and be on a decent team, it is them who will have to take the discount. It's not what they deserve, but it is reality. What's more important to them, winning or money? And hey, it's a very personal thing. Steve, blast through a couple more quick, and then we'll wrap her up.
Okay. Yeah. So sorry. There's some good questions here. So Quaddy says, does winning a cup this year drive the price and term up or down in your opinion?
I actually think it might make it more likely they leave because they did what they needed to do. Right?
I've been saying that for a little bit, but I've been saying, does winning a cup increase or decrease the chances that these guys stick around? If they get to the top of the hill and they do it together and they've done it, now others make the point, once you do it once together, you want to do it again, because now you're measuring yourself against others who haven't been able to do that. You're measuring yourself against history, right? So pride says you want to do it again. Or do you clap your hands and say, we did it, now we can go our separate ways, we'll see you in the summertime?
KGill97 says, guys, who's your guys' first backup goaltender going into the playoffs? I guarantee it won't be Pickard. That's what KGill said.
Somebody else. Let's see what he does. I mean, let's see what Calvin Pickard does. We don't boot his feet out from underneath him. He's been an NHL goalie before. Hasn't been for a while, but if he continues to put quality starts together, Struds, do they get to the point where they realize maybe they don't need to do something else?
They might, and they're gonna have to play Pickard. I would play him, if not tomorrow, for sure against Detroit. I'd probably play him tomorrow.
Got to play him tomorrow, I think.
You got to manage Skinner's starts, and I know, he hasn't played a lot. I get it, but I've been saying it for a long time. It's the whole season. You can't just say he's not tired for this week. It's the whole season. So they got to find a way to get Pickard in there more than they probably even want.
Well, you could play him. Look at the schedule, buddy. They go Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, 3 weeks in a row. So play him one game a week for the next 3 weeks.
And I think that's a good start. But when
you got the Blackhawks twice, and then you got the Leafs, Kraken, and Flames in the middle there. Maybe the division games. You're going to play Skinner against the Leafs. You're going to want to play him against the Flames. Maybe he plays 2 in the next 3 weeks.
But you have to keep in mind that their schedule compresses, and they still have to play him. He needs. Yeah. I'll say it. I know he doesn't believe it, but I believe Skinner was fatigued, whether it's mental or physical, in the playoffs. They cannot do that again. They just can't. So they have to play him being Pickard more than they probably even want to. 2 more, Steve.
Obelisk brings up rumors about Kane having core issues. Have you heard this? Any rumors out there that?
Well, I mean, he hasn't been practicing a ton, so whatever. They're never going to give us a ton of detail on that front. I feel like he's shooting the puck okay, Struds, and I think core issues are one of those things that maybe have a bit of a tough time shooting it. I'm not noticing it in his shot. Are you?
No, but I think that what it can express itself is in battles, right? When you battle, you're flexing. You're kind of getting that strength from your middle, and then you're trying to push guys around. I would like to think that if there is something there that needs a little bit of time, I take him out now. Like, let him sit for a week and really get it kind of up, catch up and get on top of it. But since that hasn't happened, maybe it's not that significant.
Everything Maine Coon Cat says maybe Ekholm comes back cheaper. Do you think he'll come back cheaper?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're talking about John Tavares, right? Turning around and coming back to the Toronto Maple Leafs cheaper. Matthias Ekholm, if he loves it here as much as it sounds like he does, and he's raising children here like we know he is, he's a real family guy. He talks about that often. So I can see that making some sense, Struds, if it's a great lifestyle fit for him, that he comes back on a reasonable deal to play out a couple more years.
How old is he now? Is he 32? 33?
Yeah, I'll get that. Just one sec.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that there might be, but again, he for a steady defenseman,
33.
Yeah. So he's got one more year after this year, correct? I think.
I think he has. Yeah, I think he's got one more year after this year.
So that gets him. That's $6 million. Yeah, maybe it comes down to 3 or 4 or whatever it is, but there's value to steady veteran defenseman like him. And, if he has not won a Stanley Cup and a team that is close to it, and we hope the Oilers are in that position and say, hey, we want you to be our third pairing left shot defenseman or whatever, right? Like you never know. Like you don't just lose the intelligence as you get older. The feet may go, but the intelligence is there.
Is that it? Was that the two?
That was the two. I
lost track. All right, Struddy, let's wrap up with our gem of the day. And I don't know, buddy. I think my gut is to go with Brownie. Did anything better happen than Rob Brown embarrassing himself trying to get off the podcast today?
Oh, yeah. That's who he is. That's what he does.
That is what he is good at. You and him.
Yeah, he looks like a caveman trying to start a fire. Like, it's just like, it's incredible how slow it is.
I know. The guy's so bad at the technical stuff, man.
Incredible.
Not on Twitter, doesn't know how to be. Like, the guy is just, he's in like 1981 technology.
He is.
All right, that'll wrap up the podcast. Big thanks to everybody who hopped onto the stream with us tonight. Thanks for your downloads and your subs. Struds, good job tonight, my man.
Likewise. Talk to you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, and then lunch. I think next Tuesday we agreed on. Tuesday, 12 o'clock. Me, you, and Brownie. A little lunch action.
I think we pushed it into February. Right.
Okay, well, I'll touch base then. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be good when it happens. It's
a long month. We got an extra day in February.
Have a great finish tonight, everybody. Big thanks to our title sponsors, Sherwood Buick GMC. Cheers. Happy New Year. Have a great night.